I just mentioned some countries, and you can decide where you want to dive in, but it just seems interesting to study maybe Brazil, Guyana, Argentina. If you just say Latin America, it seems it's going to be quite an interesting year for that whole sector for different reasons, of course. But any thoughts on those countries in particular?
Yes, it's unfortunate that for Latin America, they always jump from extreme to extreme. So we've seen it in several countries where they go from the far left to the far right, and they go back to the far left. And this is not good for investment. This is not good for people. This is not good for economic stability or political stability. So let's start. Let's start with Venezuela and Guyana. This is kind of very strange situation. And I don't think is going to lead to military escalation. I am not talking here about conspiracy theory. I'm talking about a historical fact. A historical fact is that every time a country that became an oil-producing country and they are flush with money, the United States will come to them and say, it's time to buy arms from me. If you refuse, I will have you buy arms from me. So what was strange about this is that there was sanctions on Maduro. All of a sudden, the Biden administration wants to remove or at least ignore those sanctions, and they start giving exceptions to some companies to increase the production of Venezuela and ease the economic situation in Venezuela. Why? What did Venezuela do? The Biden administration was successful in lowering oil prices. Oil prices are low, and probably they will stay at the current levels for a long time. They don't need the extra Venezuelan oil because it will take a long time to have a major increase that affect the market. So what they need from Venezuela, that's number one. The other one is, why all those meetings from the State Department and the White House with the Maduro regime? And people saying, well, they want to organize the Venezuelan elections in 2024. The US is organizing the Venezuelan elections in 2024? Are you kidding me? So why those meetings? And all of a sudden Maduro comes out and start talking about Guyana, and all of a sudden Guyana is conducting military exercises with the United States and planning to buy US arms. The funny thing is, what Maduro did is a copy of what Saddam Hussein did with Kuwait. The same rhetoric, the same talk. So if you want to go back to history, where you are going to stop? Are you going to go back to 1500 or 1700 or 1870, or where you are going to stop? So Guyana's production is going to be more expensive now because of what happened, but the ability of Guyana to increase production to 1 million barrels by 2030 is very high. So we will see that. There is no way the US government is going to let Maduro take over ExxonMobil and Chevron. There is no way. And one of the ironies is Chevron, which is the target of Maduro because he already gave them kind of a time limit where they have to turn the assets to. Chevron is developing Maduro's fields in Venezuela. So that's one. For Venezuela to increase production, they can increase production by additional 200 to 300,000 barrels a day in the short term under certain conditions, but that's it. Any major increase by the time of US election next year, they can add another 300 to 400, but that's it. To have 1 to 2 million barrels, you need several years. For Brazil is one of the hottest areas. I mean, you have the two hottest areas in the world right now are Norway and Brazil. Okay, we expect that production to increase unless Lula goes crazy on kind of extreme left ideas and try to destroy what they have built. But this is very hard. I think Lula already learned the lesson. And if you look at the way he played it with OPEC and OPEC Plus, when he said he wants to join OPEC Plus, and then he retracted that, etc. And now we found out basically it's nothing burger. So Brazil is safe on that side. As for Argentina is the craziest place right now. And the current president Javier Milei. He needs to be very careful in terms of going to the extreme, because we've seen this before, and he already gone to the extreme. And if he really wants real change, he should do it slowly, and instead of doing it quickly this way. Of course, his supporters are saying, well, this will be painful, we have to go through the pain. Well, tell that to the massive majority of poor Argentinians who are going to experience poverty, who are going to experience inflation, who are going to see a massive income gap between the rich and the poor because of it. We've seen it in other countries, by the way, so this is nothing new. We've seen it. So he should have gone slowly, and he is not. And the idea that Argentina will be able to increase oil production substantially, I don't think so. There are so many problems in that sector. At the same time, domestic consumption is going to be affected in so many ways by liberating their prices. And I think we might see demonstrations, massive demonstrations in the streets very soon.